Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Gabriel, the door is closed, huh? Can maybe during the lecture, maybe if it's possible to keep it closed because there's a double lecture going on the other side.
Can you put the mic a little nearer?
Like this?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Because we have usually one lecture, not two. So, please, I would, if you are interested, encourage you to listen very carefully. This is just shlokas from the Bhagavatam. You'll be amazed. So, Shukadeva Goswami is describing how Krishna is getting ready to depart from this planet after he performed his pastimes, and simultaneously gives a preview what will happen thereafter. Krishna comes to establish religious principles, morality, righteousness, all the good qualities we define as good, they can be found in Krishna. So, when he leaves, and he is not here, the nature of this world is that it degrades. It falls apart. Like if you don't maintain this room, if you don't maintain this facility, it will automatically deteriorate and fall apart. Same thing with the human consciousness. So Shukadeva Goswami said, when Krishna is going to leave, then, O king, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength and memory will all diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali. So this is now the fourth age in a cyclus of 4 ages. Kali Yuga, the last one, before the ultimate destruction of this universe, and again creation. It's like 4 seasons, they repeat themselves. So we are in the beginning of this Kali Yuga, but Srila Prabhupada commented, it's amazing how fast it goes. These symptoms which are actually predicted to happen already at the end of Kali Yuga are happening now. So it seems like we cannot degrade fast enough. In Kali Yuga, wealth alone will be considered a sign of a man's good birth, proper behavior and fine qualities. And law and justice will be applied only on the basis of one's power. Simple to understand, I think. Here we are in Wall Street. Here we are at the economical centers of this whole world, where money is the honey. Money means power. Actually, in the ultimate sense, those people who really are rich and who really have lots of money, they cannot even value money, because if you have so much money, how many shoes you can buy, how many houses you can buy. There are people like that. So finally, what's really interesting to them is to have lots of money means to have lots of influence. And this is described here simply on basis of that money. You can control people. Very easy. I don't think anybody of us was much in that situation, but I met in my lifetime people who have lots of money, and everybody around them is changing their behavior instantly. It's a curse to have actually lots of money, because nobody treats you as being what you are, they treat you as what you have. And that's very false. For most of the rich people I met in my lifetime, they are not very happy people. And they are very happy because when they meet a devotee who tells them, you are rich, oh that's very nice, you can give it to Krishna, but otherwise, I don't care. I don't need anything from you. I have Krishna consciousness. What do you have? I have $50 billion. It's nice, but you don't look very happy. Look, we have here our brahmachari monk. He has not one penny. And look, he's very happy. So, what do you want? And that's why people join this movement also. So, this is another symptoms described here. And there it goes. Men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction. And success in business will depend on deceit, cheating. Womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex. And the man will be known as a brahmana, a priest, just by wearing a thread. It means just according to external symptoms. I think the history of the church is full of examples. How you look very saintly. Actually, not any church, any spiritual institution can produce lots of hypocrites which look like something, but they are not. Because religion is a wonderful item to cheat. You cannot see it with your eyes, you cannot touch it, you cannot express it in material value, and you have to believe it completely. So therefore demons argue like that. This is cheating. You are selling something you cannot even touch. So, and for cheaters this is true here. Therefore religious institutions are very often infested by cheaters and hypocrites who, place upon people the religious dogma with a threat that you will either commit that offense or you will go to hell. I mean both. And people go, oh, pious people, I want to go to hell, and give donation. This is the history of church and like this. So this threatening attitude on the part of the preacher, it's usually produces suspicion there's some cheating going on. So men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction. Not easy, not difficult to illustrate in Denmark. I think sometimes people don't even remember who they met last week. Or they get shocked when they wake up in the morning and somebody is lying next to them. They go, who is this? So this is from I don't want to go in detail because we have an Indian community sitting here, which is very shocking probably, because India still carries such a high level of culture that it's coming also. It's heavily introduced by the mercy of Bollywood and other institutions. But this kind of lifestyle is unacceptable. Even animals are more regulated. So this is all described already here. And success in business means cheating, that's all. There's no honest business. It's cheating. You can sell anything as long as people buy it with any promise attached to it. It's called advertising. Anything. And of course, manliness and womanliness will be judged in expertise in sex, which actually is a pathetic affair when you think in comparison to eating, sleeping, sex, life and defense. This is 4 principles which dominate our life while we are living in this material body. So when you consider from all these 4 things, sex life, it's relatively a very minor time we spend with. Certainly less is with eating, and certainly less is with sleeping. But still, everybody's excited, everybody talks about it, everybody plans for it, everybody is completely absorbed in it. Even it's hardly happening actually, in comparison to the other activities. So, but there is a taste, undoubtedly, material taste, which is so strong that people are so excited. About what? So Krishna says himself, Prabhupada was himself publicly addressed on this issue. What about sex? In a public, same festival we had yesterday, Srila Prabhupada was sitting in Rio de Janeiro, South America. Over the loudspeakers, somebody was yelling something in a public. And Srila Prabhupada said, why is he so agitated? What does he want to know? You can hear it in the mic. And then devotees translate, Prabhupada, he wants to know why we don't have sex. Prabhupada goes, and he gives a long explanation through all this huge loudspeaker to thousands of people how we can have sex in Krishna consciousness. It's quite amazing. On the other hand, that's really quite amazing. Then the gentleman is not asking anymore, he is very well informed. Starting with the fact that Krishna is saying, I am the sex. which is not opposing to religious principles. So, Prabhupada said, how can they say we have something against sex? But of course, what that sex is, as one young, very agitated young man commented by understanding what Krishna conscious sex means, his instant comment was, what's the use at all? Prabhupada said, he's actually quite intelligent boy. Because sex according to religious principles is very restricted, is considered celibacy actually. Celibacy in another form. That means it's strictly dedicated to production of Krishna conscious children. Period. That's responsible. And that's a great responsibility behind. So it's not a whimsical sensual affair as described here, simply based on superficial attraction. A person's spiritual position in Kali Yuga will be ascertained merely to his external symbols. Here we are again to the Brahmin threat bearing. And on the same basis, people will change from one spiritual order to the next. Means there is 4 orders: brahmachari, celibacy, grihastha, married man, vanaprastha, man in a renounced state, and ultimately sannyasi, that's the one who renounced and is simply traveling and preaching until the end of his life. So these 4 orders are still considered ashrama, means actually spiritual orders. Nothing is excluded in Krishna consciousness. If somebody gets married, it doesn't mean the end of his spiritual life, not at all. But it's regulated. It's exactly, we are always under the direction of a spiritual authority, which is an issue on its own. Because without spiritual authority, there is no chance for spiritual life. This is what Krishna is making as a condition. In Bhagavad Gita, he explains, you cannot have a spiritual life without approaching spiritual master. And spiritual master means you become a disciple. And that word disciple means discipline. It's very similar. Disciple and discipline. So if you have no discipline, don't become a disciple. And if you are no disciple, you have no spiritual guidance. Somebody says, but I have the book here. Well, that's something, yes. But what do you understand? What do we understand? So for behind this all shlokas I quote, there is purport by Srila Prabhupada and by his disciples, which define the purport. We can misunderstand easily. Of course, these shlokas are so clear, they are hard to misunderstand. So Kali Yuga is a place where people will just switch whatever they feel like. I feel, I'm happy. So I think I will do that. Yeah, I think I will do that. Well, so does an animal thing too. A dog walks through the landscape and some odor comes and the dog goes, oh, that's where I want to go. And he goes over in this direction. Because he feels like this and he thinks like this too. That's a good decision. It smells good, I go there. What do you think? I think that I feel. Or do I feel that I think? On that kind of level, there is no spiritual advancement. Srila Prabhupada defined this level as an animal platform. Because that's how animals act. You can trap an animal too. By smell, by food. You can trap an animal and keep control on him. And that's how we are controlled by the material energy. Because we just follow what we feel. They say, all you need is love. Nobody defines what love is. What is love? Well, love means you love him, you love her. It's okay, I love you now, so what am I going to do? And then we are back to the shloka before. It's sex, really. Then the love is very quickly over, if this is what it is. And everybody has an idea what love is, but unfortunately most of these ideas don't fit. And then we have already a problem. My idea of love is like that. No. You are not loving me. Why? Because you don't act the way I want you to act. So actually what we are saying, I love myself, and you will act as I expect you to act, and if you don't, then you don't love me. Well, wait a minute, but I expected you to act like this, so you don't love me either. Divorce. And so we go. It's very quickly over. So this is not the platform for human beings. Human beings are supposed to live a regulated life based on vows. Animal cannot make a vow. You cannot make a dog promise, I will never stretch out my tongue in this lifetime. He will go, I promise. Then he goes, I promise very much. And the tongue comes out immediately. Because it's a dog. He cannot keep any promise, he cannot keep control. But as a human, you could say such a vow. You can stick to it too, because you have a power over your senses. You can, you're supposed to. So that's the difference between human being and an animal. So in Kali Yuga, it gets very quickly washed out, this difference between what is human and what is an animal. This point Srila Prabhupada made repeatedly, over and over again. So the spiritual position of a person will be just judged how he looks like. Like you may look at me, some of them, you may look at me, who is this? Some may think, well, he's preaching something, he's not so spiritual. You know, maybe I'm not. How do you know? You know, it could be maybe possible to cheat some of you. Especially if you don't read this book. Therefore we are insisting, people please read these books. So you can protect yourself from cheating. Don't trust anybody who looks spiritually unless he doesn't act like this. Don't trust. Especially in India. Prabhupada said India is the biggest producers of wonderful devotees and wonderful cheaters. Biggest cheaters and biggest devotees. Now who is who? Who will judge? Therefore these books are so important. There is Shastra, Guru and Sadhu. Sadhu means living spiritual guide or spiritual authorities. Shastra is the book, and then comes a Guru, a spiritual master. If he acts according to the book, he's authorized. If not, well then he is just a cheater. You don't have to follow him. Even when he deviates already from something which he promised, well, there are rules for that. It may be done under different circumstances. He may do so out of momentary weakness. There's no need to reject him. If he is honest, you know, honest means like he will say, oh, I have a problem now. My senses are getting out of control. Please be patient with me. I'm working on it. I'm chanting more Hare Krishna. I'm trying to absorb myself in service. So such a deviation should never be harshly judged. This can happen. This can happen practically to anyone. Even Srila Prabhupada prayed that he may be excused from illusion. Well, in his case, we were quite sure he was not in illusion, and the result was very evident. So we judge people according to what they are doing, not only what they are saying. You can say so many things, but then what they are doing. This is actually called Acharya, somebody who is teaching by an example. This is what makes Krishna consciousness real. So we shouldn't get cheated. We should read these books. And a person's propriety will be seriously questioned if he doesn't earn a good living. In other words, you don't have a good economy, you are nobody. Who is you? How much money do you have in the bank account? You know, show me. Oh, you have some money here. That's an interesting person. You are a serious man. I can do it too serious. I can see your bank account shows only 0. Who is you? I'm not going to even talk to you. This is the logic of karma. So this is also deceiving. And that one who is very clever at the juggling words will be considered a learned scholar. That you can see daily, especially in science. I met few scientists, maybe prominent scientists. You cannot imagine how foolish these people are. They can speak so nicely. They can go, you know, yes, I'm just giving a lecture about the quantum physiognomy of the 5th dimension of the universe, you know. And you see, what is he saying? So for cheater, you can easily discover he develops his own language. He's using his own language. People say, oh, I cannot understand what he's talking about. It must be scientific. You know, This is so complicated and so difficult to understand. There must be lots of knowledge in it, which unfortunately I cannot understand. So they develop their own vocabulary like that. This is how I realize. The spiritual field, even better. There's one gentleman coming from India, and he developed even the word supra-consciousness. Not Krishna consciousness, supra-consciousness. And everybody goes, are you cultivating your supra-consciousness? No? Why not? This is the latest thing. You have to advance. You have to cultivate supra-consciousness. And everybody goes, oh yeah, wow, I'm so backwards. I cannot get the supra-consciousness. How do I get the supra-consciousness? Well, you get to follow him. Come. And then he goes, supra-consciousness makes you happy. This is Indian Buddhist talking. And you go, oh, divine bliss, divine supra-consciousness. I feel it. Oh, great. $5,000. Thank you very much. So this is like generally how cheaters work. They develop their own language, and once again, it's very easy in the name of spiritual life to do such a thing. So therefore Srila Prabhupada was considered sometimes not being that spiritual because he was, one would understand what he's talking about. He could take something very, very complex and put it in a words that even a simple hippie could understand. Like, I feel some urge. Is this now mental or physical kind? Prabhupada said, no, you act like an animal. Oh. Yeah, actually it's true. I eat any damn thing I find. I have sex life with anybody who comes across my way. I am just completely unreliable. I am just completely on a central platform. Well, it's animal. Okay, thank you for the information. Prabhupada was sometimes so direct, and those people were shocked because it was free, his expression of this overcomplicated, expressions which actually sometimes simply cover the fact that the German gentleman who is lecturing doesn't know one thing. So, so I saw big professors. I remember one encounter in the city of Berlin. I encountered one of the leading Indiologists, Sanskrit professors, in Germany. He was a friendly man. He welcomed me very nicely, and we had a discussion especially about Chaitanya Charitamrita book. He really didn't understand what it is. So he asked me quite nice questions, and I was thinking, oh, that's nice. And then suddenly, the door went open, and it entered his secretary, young blonde girl, with a cup of coffee. And as he talked to me, he was like, and he went completely out of control. He lost the eye contact. He was just, and I could, what happened? We just had a very interesting discussion. The man couldn't even, he forgot the point where we were. Well, there was a blonde girl in the room. That's all. It's as simple as that. I was going, oh, yeah, I know that kind of confusion. Yeah, it's really not very scientific. You don't need to be a big scientist to be confused by a blonde girl. Well, same thing. Completely uncontrolled senses, completely uncontrolled. It's the same thing. But the vocabulary is such a complicated kind. So why? Why to not express simply what is needed to be expressed and do the right thing accordingly? This is Krishna consciousness. It's simple for the simple ones and very complicated for those who want to have something very complicated. So why to have something so complicated if you can have it simple? This is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. It goes further. A person will be judged unholy if he does not have money. Same point. And hypocrisy will be accepted as virtue. Look, what an expert cheater he is. This politician cheated himself all the way up to the president post. He didn't got caught by police. And everybody knows he was cheating, but they didn't caught him yet. Very expert. Very expert. How did he do that? That's generally politics you find on this slide. Marriage will be arranged simply by verbal agreement. You like me? Yeah. Want to marry me? Yeah. Now, yeah, that's it. There's nothing more to it. Well, why? I like you. You like me? Yeah, I like you. What about if you don't like me tomorrow? What about if I don't like you? Okay, I'll be divorced. As a matter of fact, today, it's very popular. It's already at the point of marriage, a paper or contract is signed, who will get one at the point of divorce? It's practical. You know, then you don't, then it comes to divorce to discuss, you take this, and I take the car, and you take the dog, and whatever. You know, no, it's already prearranged. Because, and as a matter of fact, most of the people don't want to even get married, they just live together. You know, just live together, and if you don't like it, then just don't come home. Simple. So this is once again the animalistic platform of life. In a classical, and we can see even amongst the devotees, in a classical Vedic sense, marriage, that's an issue, a big issue on its own, was very carefully arranged, but very carefully. That doesn't mean enforced. The Western people always panic, what? Arranging something, somebody for me? No. I'm a free man. Well, then go and finish yourself off freely. Yes, you can also take a gun and say, I'm a free man, put it in your head and shoot yourself. Because that's your choice. My choice to shoot, I shoot. In this way, you get, cheated. So, marriage is something very serious, you could say. Because it's supposed to last a major part of life for most of the members of human society. So in the Vedic times, there were counselors, expert counselors, who knew the mentality. There were psychologists. They knew this mentality with this mentality, not so good. Like you have a lady who is more of the passionate nature, you marry her to some kind of simple, sleepy boy, big trouble. She will powderize him for the breakfast. So obviously she needs a little bit something upgraded, something which eventually can powderize hair, and then there is this marriage anyway is a kind of density, which is who, and it's always there somewhere. So in Vedic times it's very properly arranged, very carefully. Later on, of course, as the society degraded, it was done by force. It was done for financial purposes, Oh, you marry this rich girl, then more money comes into the family, very nice. Or what to speak, that more money, yeah, that means, because in India the rule was the someone of the bride, she has to bring all the money, the dowry has to be there. Culminating in a very ghastly situation, I think, until today, where with the help of the modern technology discovered that the child is female, there is immediate abortion. To prevent that, I will have to pay so much later on at the point of marriage. Very, very ghastly logic behind the whole thing. So this is all Kali Yuga symptoms once again. Yeah? So this is a done very serious. Therefore, there was not so much problem with divorce, because it was complementary, the coexistence, and there was a family around. There was all the counselors, and the wife flipped out, and my husband he doesn't understand me. And immediately, her mother came, and the grandmother came, and they say, yeah. Your grandfather was also too much sometimes, And look at me, I survived. Misery likes company. Calm down, And the man was, this lady is stupid. She told me I'm an idiot. And then he went to the grandfather and gave said, it's nothing. My wife is telling me this every day. Oh, really? Yeah, it's life, keep on going. So this is like, this help was always